I am Steve Roger Phillips, and this is The Warrior's Quest. Back when I was 13, I was jumping off a bus on my way back from football. I was walking up the park hill, and my friend shouted out, Steve, there's an ambulance outside your house, quick. So I ran up the park hill. I was sweating, my heart was pumping like hell. I got to the house, looked around, and there were notes everywhere saying, go next door. I went next door. They gave me a cup of tea and I couldn't hold it still. It was shaking, and they told me that my dad had been taken away in an ambulance. My brother came back from the hospital, took me for a spin up the mountain, and it was there that he broke the news to me that my father had died. I was 13. I felt like the rug had been pulled from beneath my feet. Everything was going so well up until that point. I started to feel depressed. I started to get upset. My school results were failing. And it was then that I started asking the important questions in life. Like, who are we? Where do we go when we die? And what is it all about? Unfortunately, I went off the rails, got into the wrong crowd, and started to become a little bit of a party animal. Drink, alcohol, drugs, whatever, you name it, anything to get away from the pain and suffering that I was going through. But as you know, what goes up must come down. I was deeply depressed. They offered me antidepressants. The child psychologist said, would you like to come into hospital? I said no, because I knew that I would not be able to commit suicide under watch. I tried committing suicide 3 times, but thankfully I failed, and I'm able to stand here and talk to you today. It was 2 years after my dad died. When I was in my bedroom, I'd been a pain in the ass because my mum had met somebody else 2 years later. This one day, I was being a pain. He came into my room and he pinned me down on my bed and he said, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I've never had anything ring in my head so loudly before. What do you want? And this might be an opportunity for you as well to see what it is that you want. But from that point forward, I wanted to have a Welsh cap. I set my goal and intention and I worked my guts off. And I did. I achieved it. I played semi-professionally from then on. I had an opportunity to go to Australia to play. I thought this was my big opportunity to make it pro. 4 games into the season, I was running to save a try. There was another guy breathing down my neck. I could feel his breath on the back of my neck. I managed to get the ball out the way, but he came down on my shoulder, and my shoulder popped through. I was in excruciating pain. The physio came on the field. And has anybody seen the film Lethal Weapon? If you've seen that film, you would see Mel Gibson used to pop his shoulder back into place on the toilet door. Unfortunately, I wasn't that heroic. As I was walking off the pitch, I felt every single divot. I was like a little girl screaming in agony. Thankfully, they put it back into place and did surgery on me. I was on the other side of the world. No friends, no family. I started to sink back into depression. I went back to the doctors and they offered me antidepressants. But I knew there was another way deep inside of me. Has anyone ever felt like that before? Where all logic is pointing in one direction, but something inside your heart is saying there is another way. I started reading self-help books. I went to the library and got a book called Dealing with Depression. Then You Can Change Your Life in 7 Days. Then The Definitive Book of Body Language by Barbara and Alan Peace. I had never read a book before in my life from cover to cover. But I was just devouring them because I found my passion and purpose. When I came back from Australia, I started climbing the ladders of success. From bar worker to bar manager. From bar manager to oil refinery and a pay rise. From there to a sales rep, then area sales manager. Never stop dreaming. Anything is possible when you put your mind to it. And the word impossible is a word only in a fool's dictionary. Eventually I got to London, where I co-owned a detox clinic. And I found out in London, I was aspiring to be a millionaire, but I found out in London that actually some of the people that I was working with had more issues than what I had. So I had to refigure something out. I knew there was something else I needed to find out. I had a fertility test and they told me I wouldn't have babies in this life. So I really deeply focused on my spiritual life. I got into conspiracy theories. I studied metaphysical science. I was into Christianity, Buddhism, but I knew there was something else. I wanted to know the truth. So I was in the shower one day and I was crying. If you were there at the time, you would have seen me crying my eyes out. The tears were dripping down my face. And sincerely, it was then that I prayed. I said, God, please show me. I know there's something else, but I don't quite know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. Just 2 weeks later, I joined the temple as a Hare Krishna monk, a celibate monk, where we started singing, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After 2 years of serving as a celibate monk, I had a chronic health condition. All of the signs were pointing in the direction of Emma Jones, a well-known naturopath in Cardiff. She helped me to sort my health out and my fertility with naturopathic nutrition. This is Emma Jones Phillips. She's now my wife, and these are my two beautiful daughters. Sorted out my infertility issues. This is my book, The Warrior of Peace, and now I help conscious business owners to live their dreams with my 12-month conscious network. This is Robin J, and she is award-winning author and filmmaker, president of the Las Vegas Convention Speakers Bureau. She said, and she gave me an offer recently to be in the next film called Becoming the Keys. For whatever reason, I didn't take it, but this is what she said about my book. Steve R. Phillips, his book, offers startling revelations to those who are unfamiliar with the laws of metaphysics and reaffirming support for those in the know. He offers a candid journey of his life and the lessons he has gathered along the way in a most uplifting and entertaining story of life, learning and triumph. This is Jason Chan. Anyone familiar with Jason Chan, Hay House author? This is a very well written and a truly inspiring account of your own unique journey from your neurotic suffering to deep inner peace and happiness. You also give your readers some really practical but deep guidance to dramatically improve their own lives and their long-term well-being. I am a warrior of peace. Warriors of peace pride themselves on self-mastery. Warriors of peace have seen so many charlatans, and because of this, they fight for the truth. Warriors of peace may not be perfect, but they are on the journey to perfection, cleansing themselves to become the best version they can. Warriors of peace have deep inner wounds, which they have healed, and now use these wounds to their advantage in the form of empathy and compassion to others, knowing and understanding where they are coming from. Warriors of peace keep on keeping on, getting over themselves to offer service to others, as this is what gives them their juice. Warriors of peace are beacons of light for others. Trust and integrity is their attractive force. With so many so-called experts talking the talk, warriors of peace walk the walk and allow their integrity and values to dictate their destiny. Warriors of peace stand for what is right, empathize with others, are on purpose, and are agents of transformation. I am a warrior of peace. Are you? These are some of the companies that I've worked with. And more importantly, this is Federico. Back on a retreat last year, we did a goal-setting exercise, and Federico didn't know what he wanted going into the exercise. He came away with a plan, a structured plan for an eco-retreat centre. Just 3 weeks later, Federico was phoning me up and saying that he put a deposit down on his eco-retreat. Now he's going through the planning process. This is what's possible. Zena Cooper, back in January, my event, New Year, New You, where I launched the Warriors of Peace Network, she already had written a book, but from the event, she had different ideas. I wanted to come up with a new version. Within just 3 months, she had written 3 chapters of the new book, submitted it to me, so I reviewed it, and then she submitted it to Hay House. And just recently, she found out that she's got a contract for Hay House worth £5,000. Well, worth more than £5,000. There's a £5,000 publishing deal. And Mark Oakley, he's here today. He's going to be speaking to you and sharing his very inspiring story. Mark is an aspiring speaker, and he is on a phenomenal journey of self-healing and also helping others. This is what gives me my juice now, is helping other people to achieve success. And in fact, that gives me more fulfillment than my own success. Thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna, Namaste.